out there. How y'all doing? I hope y'all 2017 has come off to a good start. Let me fix this computer. All right. Make it a little more straight. Okay, so we're going to have some fun today. So let's get rolling. So it has occurred to me that people, and I spoke about this before, think that spells are something to play with. Now, right away, I know some of y'all out there are like, oh, Mama said he don't tell us what to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just going to give y'all some advice. Okay. So, the first thing you need to ask yourself before you start to do any spell, period, point blank, is, do you have a connection to the spiritual realm? Are you being guided by someone that knows what they're doing? Because my padrino has a saying, my godfather has a saying, that these spiritual forces, whether you like it or not, or whether you want to believe it or not, have been here longer than you have. They've been here since the beginning of time, some of them. So what would make you think that doing a spell would be something easy to do and you get the result that you want? Now, that being said, some of you may have, capabilities, but you also should be aware of what some of the drawbacks can be when you do a spell. Okay? Maybe when you do a spell, you might get what you want but lose something else if you don't know what you're doing. Now, I saw somewhere there was a video that was like, our ancestors, they did spells, and so can you. Okay, let me speak about that. Yes, our ancestors did do spells. Some of them did, but they also had guidance too. They also had more focus too. There wasn't the internet and social media and all these different things that have come into play now. Our ancestors didn't have all of that. Things came to our ancestors word of mouth, passed down to generation. Some of our ancestors did do spells because some of our ancestors were spiritual workers, were priests, were priestesses. That's just how it is. I'm not making this up, folks. This is how it goes. Okay, so a lot of our ancestors, they grew up around magic. They grew up around ritual. Okay, even some of our, I'm going to say great-grandparents, because some grandparents nowadays, they like 35, 40 years old, and they don't want you calling them no grandparent. Okay? All right. So, that being said, spells are not something that you just jump into. I don't care what you see written anywhere, okay? It's just not something that you just want to pick up and do, no matter how simple it may seem. See, the ancestors knew a long time ago that spells just weren't simple, and everything can't be resolved with a spell. Sometimes you got to do some type of spiritual work. People don't want to listen to this. Now, the thing is, back to our ancestors used to dream more, and their dreams were clear, and their dreams were focused, and they didn't have the radio, maybe a radio, depending on what time frame you're talking about, but they went to bed with the sun and they rose with the sun, and they were more in tune with nature. Okay, they could let you know when it was going to rain. They knew when a young woman in their family was pregnant or something was going on, because they were more in tune to the spiritual realm than we are nowadays. Okay, so they had a lot of things that may have stopped them from doing something that they didn't need to do. Also, our ancestors took some hits and blows for us. Because why? I say this because there's going to be a failure or a mistake somewhere. And in the infamous words of my godfather, as he always says, his famous words is, A mistake in the spiritual realm can harm you. It just can. And I don't care what people tell you, because they're going to tell you what you want to hear. Baby, I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay? You can get harmed in the spiritual realm if you don't know what you're doing. Okay? Even some older spiritual workers, they won't attempt certain things or do certain things because that's not what their cup of tea is. That's not what they're used to doing. So they know how to stay in their spiritual lanes. A lot of people don't know how to do that nowadays because the internet has made it seem like you can get cures off the internet. You can just about Google and look up anything. And here's the thing, people. I want you to use, and don't even take my word. You can look this up. Talk to your elders. And then when I mean elders, I'm talking about elders that put in the time, the due diligence, that don't have pride in these big egos. All right. They'll tell you that a spell and things in the spiritual realm can harm you because they've been there longer than you. Do you ever stop to think and say, hey, you know what? I really don't know about this particular spirit. Let me not just look it up online, but let me go and invest in myself. As I always say, invest in themselves and find a reputable spiritual worker that's in that, that may be in that diaspora or that tradition that they're seeking information and knowledge about that spirit. Okay, because there's some spirits, Loa or Risha, that just don't want to be bothered with you. And some of them, guess what? You might not be able to understand that energy or how to manipulate or work with that energy. So it's not that priests and priestesses are trying to hold things back from you, but a lot of you want to try to do things on your own. I always say this, and I might make something out of this, but spells in the spiritual realm is not a DIY project. Now, once you get proper training from whoever, be it a babalao, a santera, a santero, hungan, mambo, bokor, whoever that has experience in what they're doing, and they teach you, then you can go ahead and do things. But just looking at something online and thinking that, oh, I see these beautiful altars. Well, guess what, honey? I'm here to tell you this. And y'all can get mad. I don't care. Guess what, honey? The most beautiful altars, sometimes, not all the time, the way an altar looks has nothing to do with its function. Anybody can put something together and make it look beautiful. Okay? So you have to understand an altar also is a personal thing. It's not for you to look at and copy and try and do. For all my newbies out there, all my older people that's been watching these videos or other videos, you understand what it is. Okay? Next. You have to also take into consideration when you do your spirit, when you're looking for something, okay, if you can take the time to research what kind of car you want to buy, what kind of hair you want to buy, what kind of ring, jewelry, whatever it is you want to buy, you will take your time and you will do research on it, and then you will come to a conclusion. All right? Before you start to mess around and do stuff, do the same due diligence when it comes to your spirituality. Like, I understand, I'm not the spiritual worker for everybody. I don't want to be the spiritual worker for everybody. I understand that. And guess what? Some people might not vibe with my personality. That's just how life is. But as long as I get the message out there that you go and get the help, because maybe you're looking for horoscopes. Mambo Sandy doesn't do horoscopes. I know something about it, but that's not what I do. You know, so you have to do your research. Okay? Do your research and understand that spiritual forces are not something to play with. Okay? Because just because you don't see it, boop, you up top of the head right away doesn't mean that it's not going to. Okay, or harm one of your kids. And y'all think that I say this because I'm like, oh, I want them to come to me. Oh, no, please. No, I want you to get the help that you need. And I want you to understand that the spiritual realm is not a game. I don't care what you see or what you hear. I'll go to a conference and get up in the middle of the floor and I will profess this because I know this to be true. I know this to be fact. Okay? So I don't care what you see. Understand that the spiritual realm, these spirits have been there for however long. So there's people and ancestors that came before us and they did work with these things. That's why you have godparents, because they came before you and then their lineage and so forth and so forth. So some mistakes have been made and then they learned from them, because that's why the spirits are sometimes referred to as the misterio. Because they're mysteries. You can't always get a grasp on what they're going to do. You can learn and be trained on how to focus and do these things, but that takes time. And I know most people don't want to take the time to learn. They just want to see a spell, boop, 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 and do it. Now, sometimes you might get a result and sometimes not, which brings me to my next point. So, sometimes you see a saint online and you're like, oh, I'm going to try to work with this saint or this spirit. And then that spirit, maybe they were playing cards. Maybe they were doing something and they said, hey, so-and-so was giving me a jingle. Let me see what they want. And they grant you what it is you ask for. So you get what you ask for. Do you ever think about giving that saint or Risha or spirit something back, or maybe finding someone to help you to give you something back? If you ask Oshun for a man and Oshun sent you a man, you need to find you a santero or santera or somebody and make sure that she gets back something for that. Same thing if you're dealing with Loa. And the Loa, if Ogu Farai, he gets you a job and you just happen to put that out there and Ogu Farai do it for you, you need to search out a Hungan or Mambo or whoever and be like, the spirit did this for me. I want to make sure they get it back, because let me tell you, everybody has their own personality, and so do spirits. Okay? So some of them might be like, and going about their business, and then some be like, okay, I gave you this and you gave me nothing back in return. One hand washes the other. That's why in voodoo we say we serve, because they help us. In return, we give them things back. One hand washes the other. Okay? But we live in a society where everything is me, 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 me. So, therefore, it becomes a thing of the me syndrome. And we forget that these, especially saints, were people in life. How would you feel if someone called you up on the phone? Hey girl, how you doing? Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Can you give me $50? And you don't even know this person? And then maybe out of the kindness of your heart, you decide to give it to them, but then they don't give you anything back. How does that work? You wouldn't be too happy about that. So, when it comes to spells, when it comes to spirituality, it's not a game. It's nothing to be played with. And you also have to be careful where you get your spiritual information from, because nowadays people can just boop, boop, pow, and now they're a spiritual worker. Okay? Unfortunately, that's how it is. Because at one time, to become a spiritual worker, you sacrificed. You took years before your padrino or madrina or your spiritual teacher allowed you to even do a spell. You better get over there and pluck them darn chickens, or you better go over there and get this place set up for this fete or this party, okay? Like you pay, and you may think, well, what does a party have to do with me learning spiritual work? Because you have to start from the bottom and then you work your way up. But nowadays people want to start in the middle. They don't want to start in the middle. They just want to start from the top. How do we do this? Okay, like, you know, it's like, that's not how things work. It's just not how it works. It's just not how it works, people. Okay, so please don't listen to that horrible, bad advice out there, because it's bad advice. All right, unless you're a spiritual worker, and you know you have people that sit there and they try to put other spiritual workers down. Why? I don't know. This is not a popularity contest. Let me say this again. This is not a popularity contest. All right. This spiritual work and getting clients, it is helping people. And if you have ever worked in any industry that you deal with people on a daily basis, I say no more. Okay. So this is not a popularity contest. And I don't understand why other spiritual workers want to try to put other spiritual workers down. Baby, let me tell you something. Well, you know, if you look at some of my prior videos, you know how I feel. Maybe you should go look at some of them. You know how I feel about this. Okay? So, you know, if I have 20 people watching me versus 30 people versus however many people, subscribers or whatever, I mean, I'm thankful for my subscribers. I really am. But I also know my job is to get the message to those people that will listen. My purpose is to help those people that the Loa, that my mysteries want me to help. That's what I know. And no one can take that from me. No one can take that from me, no matter how hard, whatever it is they try to do, because those that need my help and those that want my help and those that the Loa will send to me will come to me. But in the same token, which will be another video that's coming up, I've also learned to be sparing in the help that I give. So, anyway, I just wanted to make this video so you guys don't go out there and make mistakes that harm you or your family, working with spells that some people just make up on the top of their head. Okay, top of their head is come up with something to put it online, because you know what? Unfortunately, you can do that now. People can run around and say they Hungans and Mambos and Santeros and Babalaos, and they ain't never did nothing ever. Any type of initiation, because it's the internet. Okay? So, for me, you can go and you can find my godfather, Hungan Hector. Okay? Hungan Hector, Papa Hector, that's my godfather, and I'll stand with him all the way through hell. Okay? One of my spiritual teachers is Mama Sunny or Mambo Sunny. Okay? And I will walk with her. Okay? And God bless the dead, Miss Gail. All right? I have my, as you want to say, references, papers, and all those things like that. So anyway, I want you guys just to be careful, do your due diligence, and understand spells and spirits are nothing to play with. And reach out. And when you reach out to a spiritual worker, be polite. Don't write one-line sentences. Help me. What? Because you know what happens? Delete. I'm going to be straight with you. Delete. Okay? Because have some type of, as my grandmother would say, coup. Okay? Have some type of respect when you're reaching out to people. All right? Because that's how you get their attention. And that's how things go. All right? So be respectful. Be serious. If you know what? That's my next video. I'm going to end this here. Y'all have a good day or good evening. Bye-bye.